All the prime locations in Mumbai are all redevelopment. Mumbai has a tremendous potential for redevelopment. Next 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years are obviously par for the course right now. एक दूसरा तरीका भी है जो हम यूज कर रहे हैं और करेंगे फ्यूचर में is to create a platform which is basically like a platform of an organization which is like a development company basically which is professional, driven by young, able-minded, clear intent, developing DNA with a very clear thought process, which is what we want to develop.
Ethos. The ingrained ethos ke we will not compromise, right? Yeah. Regardless of time, money, or certain standard or benchmark, depending on the project, we will not compromise.
How do you read this trend around the consolidation? How do you see this trend around moving past Bombay as Sheth Realty as well?
I don't think that if you are making an impact in your city, if you make an impact in a micro market, you could own a suburb. Say you decide that these 3 suburbs of Mumbai are mine. I am going to build here only, and I'm going to build in a way that is going to leave a mark on those 3 suburbs.
So welcome to Sleepless Rangers. Typically in our episode, you have seen founders coming in, 2 partners coming in, but today this is going to be a little different one. We have 2 founders, but they are 2 brothers as well, and are actually going about building a business. And more importantly, how do they fight? How do they resolve? How do they run a family business which is jointly shared by 2 of them? And the more important part, how are they going to be making a mark onto the Mumbai's real estate landscape?
Let me add one more thing.
Sure.
We're also 2 brothers married to 2 sisters.
Guys, okay, so our whole introduction goes for a toss, but then we're going to have a different read for it. Okay, this is insightful. So welcome Chintan and welcome Malik, 2 Sleepless Rangers. I'm so glad, finally after talking to you guys for such a long time, we are finally here. Thanks Chintan for joining in.
Thank you, Govind.
Thanks, Govind.
So, though you asked me not to ask, I'm going to ask, who's the bigger one?
You guess.
You are the bigger one.
No.
Oh, you're not the bigger one. I went with an odd choice, but actually somehow felt that he was the big one. Okay, and what's the age difference? Are you going to talk about it or not?
3 years. He's older by 3 years.
Wow, super. Congratulations to both of you for building an amazing business, and I've been interacting with you guys, and there's so much I'm pretty sure my audience can learn from all of you. So before we move further, the first and the most important portion for me and for the audience, who are you guys? How do you want to define yourself in the professional world? And how is it different from the personal world definition of yours? So who would love to start first? Chintan or Malik?
Yeah, I'll start. I was just thinking how to put it across. Who am I differently from professional and personal life? As a person, I'm pretty much the same professionally as I'm personally.
Sure.
There's not that much of a divide.
Got it.
Whatever ethos, whatever principles, whatever styles of working or doing things I have in my personal life, it pretty much is all in my professional life as well.
Got it.
But as a person, yes, I'm a little bit of a tech nerd. I am very much into technology, of course. I'm very much into fitness. I've been into that aspect of my life for many, many years. I mean, this sounds very cliche, but I love traveling to a point that, yes, 45 के बाद there's a travel fund that is going to be utilized. Wow. And I'm going to be around the world. 1 साल, 2 साल hiatus लेना है. That's my plan. होगा नहीं होगा, let's see. So yeah, that's me on the personal front. Professionally, we are very much, I think one word that would describe it, that we are very earnest and sincere.
Got it.
We say what we do and we do what we say.
Got it.
And we try to minimize the gap between that.
Super. Great start. How about you?
Well, where Chintan said the first thing, that how we are professionally and personally, we are very much the same. I'm an engineer by, I would say, qualification, developer now by profession, but whatever I've learned in engineering and I've applied in business is what I've learned across the last 8-10 years also doing real estate. Very different from what I studied and what I've been doing for the last 12 years now. It's been more than 12 years I've been doing this. Not very social, little bit of an introvert in the personal space. Big into driving, race cars, racing, so big F1 fan. I do follow that a lot.
Got it.
We are very passionate about what work we do. We're very passionate of what product we are making and how we're giving it out. And that kind of stems in from the personal life into the professional life.
Super. So now, since I have 2 brothers who are married to 2 sisters, I'm going to add one personal layer here. What is one quality trait of him that you love the most? And you have to do the same.
So Malik is very accepting of a change in a situation.
Got it.
He will have a reaction. If it's really not favoring him, he'll maybe have a small tantrum, but then he's very accepting. And his acceptance is not like I have a reservation in my mind. It's 100% acceptance. Wow. And that really works when you're working with someone.
That's a good quality trait to have in a partner. Both in brother, as a partner, it's one of the most important narrative to carry. Understood? And what about you?
Regardless of the situation, many times in business you see ups and downs happening. There are certain calls need to be taken.
Sure.
Circumstances decide that call. Sometimes there's an easy way out and a hard way out. Keeping those challenges in mind and that immediate situation when it's firefighting, he's always been able to keep still that large picture, yeah. And he's always able to look at things more macro, and that works very well with both of us, because the day-to-day, the small things is what my mind naturally focuses to, but he's always been able to look at the larger picture.
And one trait that you want to change about it, both of you, for each other. One trait where we'll tell that, okay, Chintan needs to be better at this, or maybe embrace a different narrative altogether, the skill set. What would be that one thing?
He's a perfectionist in everything.
Less of perfection would do as well.
Yeah.
That's a good way to compliment.
Fair.
What about you?
What would I like to change? Not much, honestly.
Got it.
Kya bolte hain, Jugalbandi mein is the right guy to have to do Jugalbandi with.
Okay, got it.
A little bit, maybe like I said, he thinks I'm perfection. I also want him to sometimes match up to the other side.
No, superb. Great start, guys. So now I'm going to come to a very interesting part, which is somewhere to do with the word passion. There's so many things two young guys could be doing in their lives. Why real estate?
So this was not a choice made by me. Father decided to do real estate in 1984.
Got it.
And he came from a background of cotton farming and processing industry. Like my grandfather has a ginning and pressing business in Gujarat. But he left all that and he jumped into real estate at a very young age. So real estate has been in our blood, if you can say, from get-go. And that has obviously instilled in us a basic love for something which is tangible. Building line is such a thing that you make something, make one building. It could be a small little thing, insignificant, but for you, it's like a baby.
Of course.
And you ask any mother who delivered a baby, it's the same feeling. Like it's like a serious effort that goes into making it. But once it comes out, the job satisfaction or the gratification that it gives you is tremendous.
Of course.
So that is one big chunk of the reason why I'm in this line, is that it's glamorous from the outside, it's grueling from the inside. So I studied in Columbia, in New York, and when I first landed there in Manhattan, the first day I just spent looking at the skyline. It's mesmerizing.
Of course.
My friends looking here, there, they're going to bars and restaurants and shopping, and I'm like, dude, you know what? I don't do any of that. I went to Battery Park and I went to this side and I went to the Upper West Side, just looking at different buildings. It was just amazing. And I thought, you know what? My dad's already in this line. I need to bring this back home.
Super.
Because Mumbai ke skyline ko kuch karna chahiye apne ko.
Brilliant.
So this was my take on the whole thing.
And what about you? Did you ever feel that as a professional, you could have chosen something else?
Maybe. But as a business, no. Because yes, as an engineer, what I've learned and what we have done, and doing real estate business is completely different. But once got into it, and like he said, when you reach the satisfaction of actually delivering a product or making a building, there's no other feeling like it.
True.
So in between us, I've always kept construction I will do. The level of satisfaction is something different. When you design something, it's when you make something on paper, you make a vision, you go and start executing it. It's a long journey.
True.
And it's anywhere between 3 to 5 years, maybe more. And when you finally deliver it and you see that standing, and you see that standing for the next 50 years, every person going in around that location, that street will see your building, will know, okay, this is what you have made. So that level of satisfaction is unparalleled, and it requires a different level of commitment also, I would say.
True.
That's the other side of the coin. This is the only product which you cannot go and test drive, or you cannot go and wear.
Until
you can't do a trial, until it's ID property, which most of the people in the city don't buy. We have a huge level of commitment to the customer.
Sure.
Today we are selling something on paper. You're selling them a dream on paper.
Sure.
And it's up to us how we make that dream into reality.
Of course.
So that sense of responsibility, that level of commitment also, it has a kick in it.
Got it. So before I deep dive into the journey that you guys are on to, if you have to summarize it in 3 to 4 steps, your whole journey, professional side, what are those important junctures of this story?
After my education and working in that country for a little bit of time to gain experience and understand professional life. I came back to Bombay in 2010.
Yeah.
Joined the family business. So one of the things that I would say was like a step one was that immediately, thanks to the way the setup was or those circumstances at that time, we were put in the deep end.
Got it.
Me and Malik joined about almost, I think, 10, 12 months after me. So it's not a huge difference.
Got it.
We were in the deep end. We were at site. We were dealing with the absolute basics, contractors, vendors, suppliers, dealing with labor issues. At the same time, the sales, the marketing, the finance, all aspects of the business. And we were like literally learning on the go.
Got it.
So that was a big step. So that first 2-3 years, man, the equity that was built. And once you build any kind of equity, and the love also for that subject and the passion develops. Because you know the, like they say, from pen to the piano, I know the entire journey. And I've seen it from scratch because, yes, Malik today can talk to any labor and correct him or, rectify his mistakes because he knows that ki aise hota hai. He has done it himself.
True.
So that was a big aspect in that early stage. The second was, I think, the kind of flux that real estate went through. So again, I'm saying these are not a single moment, but these are like phases, right?
And flux in terms of the 2015, 16.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, you enter, you're working hard, but you're swimming against the tide. Yeah, no matter how hard you paddle, there's more water coming up your mouth than up your nose. It is that kind of a time between 14 to 16.
So if I interject just. So 2009-10, you got the Lehman crisis, right?
Yes.
And then
that's the time you guys entered.
Yeah.
Just after that.
Yeah, just after that. So it crash. Then by the time markets recovered, 15, 16, you know what happened.
Yeah.
GST came in, demonetization came in, RERA came in, sentiment was all-time low. And then through that journey, then we finally ended up at COVID, where all the pundits were saying, markets will crash, real estate will wipe out, 30-40% value will get eroded, all of this will happen.
Yeah.
And something completely opposite has happened.
Super.
But that journey defines you. And we have seen the worst days, or hopefully the worst days of our career in that time frame.
And in that phase, we did a few very good deliveries, project deliveries. So one side is the effort that is going in and just to survive and to keep above board. And the other side is the moment you do a delivery of a project, See, the customer doesn't care what a product is doing or not doing. As long as the product that you've delivered is A1 quality and it's very good and it actually is going beyond what is probably expected.
True.
Then, the gates open here. The kind of love they shower, the kind of affection, the kind of feedback you get, it really energizes you. So if you were to tell me what are the 3-4 things that have shaped you, these are the 3-4 aspects.
Super well laid out. Let me ask you one part before I get into the serious side of the conversation of where we all can learn about a lot of things about the whole real estate business from you. You talked about New York and the skylines. As a developer, I'm pretty sure this would be one of the most biggest craving for you that, what part of the skyline would be delivered by me.
Absolutely.
Right? So now that you have started the new journey, could you put in terms of numbers or a visual, 2040 is going to be what for you guys?
So that's 15 from now.
15 years.
I would personally want to know for our speed.
Super.
Speed in our customers, our timelines, our delivery, our response, our transparency, being a very non-transparent, efficient business, right? And that's the general perception and still remains today. I want to break away from that. And I would want my company to be known for that.
True.
Let me add to that. So 15 years from now is actually a considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
I had a 5-year plan in place.
Got it.
And now you're asking me to
stretch it to another 10.
So what we want to do is what we did way back in the mid-2000s when the family delivered a couple of very marquee projects.
Sure.
Around like 2007, 8, 9, Beaumont and Prabha Devi. And I remember going to site as a student in early college student in 2004, 5. And that time we got in a lot of stuff from outside, which probably Bombay had not seen. Like we made amongst the first few international architect designed show flats. And those fabulous large lobbies and the big show flats. Then the construction technology, one of the first buildings completely made in Maiwan. An aluminum formwork basically. Then the cladding, if you see the development, the building is completely clad in ACP and granite. Those kind of things were not happening in India.
Sure.
So that time we were at the forefront of innovation.
True.
How Malik is saying innovation on the customer side, but at them innovation on the product side.
Got it.
Right? So that is one thing that we want to be on that pole position again. We want to be at the forefront of innovation in the product. At the same time, we want to be in a position where we are the preferred developer of choice. See, whether you're my customer or not doesn't matter to me. But I want to be someone that you aspire to own a project in. And having said that, I want to have obviously a couple of large, big skyscrapers to my name in South Bombay or whatever, probably any part of the city.
Got it. No, knowing you two, I'm pretty sure 15 years down the line, when you're going to play out this reel, we will be able to see quite a bit of it there. So wishing you luck for the same. And I'm ready to make sure that we are a cheerleader. I'm witnessing the journey happen and unfold. So now, you spoke about the family business. Let me put some narrative there, because one of the important part as an Indians that we need to understand is more than the service class, there's a huge amount of business audiences which are building large enterprise or MSME or a very small shop business which is going on. And most of the time, these conversations are roaming around the family business. I wanted to discuss and make sure that our audiences can learn, inspire, and validate themselves as well for the decision they make, right? My question to you, in a family business which you are part of, what really made you to look at the journey where you felt that, hey, I want to do something different than what is happening? When anybody arrives at that destination to decide this, how do you make those decisions? Because I've been traveling India quite a lot, and people are finding it very difficult to come out of a certain fold, make their own journey happen. There are so many stigmas, taboos which are put there. How did you go about it?
So, being in a family business obviously comes with its, as they say, its trappings, both positive and negative. There are a lot of positives, especially if you're an established setup like ours with a good track record of delivery and a good name in the market. You straight away start at a level which is, say, 10 instead of 1 or 2 or 0. So that is a huge advantage. You're obviously then surrounded by people also, more often than not, who help you learn and grow very fast in that business environment. So those are big accelerators.
True.
And of course, you've got the helping hand of the seniors who are going to guide you and hopefully prevent you from making mistakes which they have made. Obviously, you're free to make new ones. I'm not calling it negative, but the other side to look at it is that, yes, family businesses can also be slower because you need a consensus of a larger group of people for changing course, like any kind of course correction or any new adoption or anything that you want to change. You need a larger consensus, and getting consensus is not easy, especially like there's a gap between the generations. You've got older generation and the newer generation, which is obviously educated abroad, and there's a lot of differences in the exposure they've had. They think differently, they want different things. And the older generation is obviously the alpha generation because they came into the city and they guard the janda. Yeah. So they have their own thought process. So that constant friction is always there.
Got it.
And sometimes it gets resolved in some manner. Sometimes it doesn't get resolved, and then somebody has to, as they say, oh, ek goot pina padta hai. Koi pee lega aisa.
True.
But more often than not, succession happens better in India because succession is a big problem in India.
Of course.
In fact, it is documented by different things. I read also articles about Indian family businesses, and succession planning is one thing which is a problem that needs to be addressed.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, because generation, especially real estate, if you see family businesses, very few are beyond the third generation. Very few.
True that.
I mean, having done work with 2-3 generation of people, by the third generation, either they have diversified into other businesses or have become investors themselves, and they don't really do actually real estate work. So that's one thing that probably a larger picture question needs to be answered as to how to plan succession. And how it came and what was the inflection point when we decided to do separately. It is not really a day or a week or a month's thing. It was a overtime thing when there's a push from one side to change things or to look at things differently. For example, Mumbai, we felt in 2018-19 that the old formula of how we had done, my father's generation had done business, was not there. Open land, factories are not there to be acquired.
Sure.
What is available was redevelopment in all its forms, whether it is the societies or SRA projects or any other kind of redevelopment. It was the only option. All the prime locations in Mumbai are all for redevelopment. I feel this is not something that is a short-term fad.
Yeah.
Mumbai has a tremendous potential for redevelopment. Next 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years are obviously par for the course right now. So this is something in terms of how we wanted to take it forward versus what the older generation thought was one place where we felt that, we need to probably do it differently. Then obviously there's other ideas of how we want to run our business. We are obviously more younger, so we want to be more agile, more transparent, deeper into technology and those aspects.
Okay.
That was the second point that we felt that, this would not work and all parties involved would be unhappy. Rather, mutually decide, let the old business run, but let us also create and try to reshape a new identity in our image.
So Maulik, what about you?
Firstly, when you see a family business which has a, say, 25, 30-year legacy and a track record, it has a certain way of doing things. Things are set.
Yeah.
Roles are responsibility, everything is set. And it's not very flexible, right? Yeah, it's got the legacy has got so many benefits.
Yeah.
And the positives are there, but there's the negatives also.
True.
So when initially we were working, he was handling separate projects, I was handling separate projects. Completely we're doing the same role, just different projects. So he was doing western suburbs, I was doing the central and eastern ones.
Got it.
Then we realized that this is the most inefficient way of working. Ek hi kaam do jan kar rahe, this is not efficient at all. And it's not complementing our skill sets also. Now what we are doing together at Sheth Realty is we are complementing each other's skill set. He's not doing my job, I'm not doing his job.
Yeah.
He doesn't come interfere in my work at all, I don't go and interfere in his. And we realize this is the best and most efficient way of moving forward.
Got it.
And that agility or that flexibility which we call is difficult to bring into a legacy business or a family business. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's got its own challenges, its own hurdles. So
Got it.
that's how it has evolved to where we are today.
No, that's a great insight for people who want to validate. A lot of times, see, when we are taking decisions, these are very difficult decisions to make, right? And more importantly, what happens next? And that's my largest question. So you decided, you converse between each other. We got to start on our own. Take us to day zero. We talked about the 15 years down the line. Take us to day zero. Office karna hai, nahi karna, or discussion ho raha hai. You guys have now decided ki you're starting something. What is it that you're putting down on paper? ये चीजें गलत जाएंगी जिसका ध्यान देना है, ये चीज तू करेगा मैं करूँगा. That's a conversation going on, and this is what we will end up doing. Can you please give us a little bit of an understanding of the framework that you decided on day zero, of how you divided the role? What is it that we're gonna introduce to the market? What will be the positioning? If you can visually show that the vision that we make for the largest company we make, how did that go for you guys? What are the challenges that you guys were already reading through and that eventually helped maybe? And challenges that you never looked upon, that they will come? Because sometimes it happens that, because in family business, somebody else is taking care of it, which you are not aware about. And that's the factor you do not know. How did you go through that journey? Could you give us a little bit of visualization there?
So I don't remember actually having a specific discussion. Maulik के चलो आज बैठ के decide करते हैं तू क्या करेगा मैं क्या करूँगा. See, the moment you go through a lot of difficult situations together,
Got it.
and you've understood each other, obviously, because you're the same family and all that. But even in working, you've done work for so many years together. It's very apparent.
Got it.
Hey, you can do this, you do this, I will do this.
Okay.
And it's because there is no other angle or agenda. It's all, there's no ego, right? I mean, मेरे को ये करना है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It's just that whoever is better at this will naturally उसका हाथी ऊपर है and he has to do that job.
Understood.
I think our discussion was more towards how to do business more than what aspects to do. Absolutely, very clear.
What are the three things that I can know, or the audience can know, that came out of that conversation of how to do the business?
First, what kind of projects are like?
Got it.
What time frame? What size?
And what was the answer?
So we want to do projects which don't typically last very long. As in, we don't want to do this multi-phase 8-10 year projects. We wanted to do tangible work which would give me results in a matter of maybe 3-4, outer limit 5 years. That was one.
Certainly.
And we also didn't want to do extremely high-rise developments.
Sure.
This was obviously 4 years back. I'm talking about initially.
Sure.
So we want to do like that. So basically you want to get in and develop the entire project, finish it, deliver it, hand it off, lock and key, tala chabi, and you're out in 4 years is what our one thought.
Got it.
Second was that financing and how it was done, the entire structuring of the financing of the project.
Yeah.
We were very, very clear on how we want to do it.
Got it.
And we were very clear because we live in the post-era. And otherwise also I think it's a world where I think financial closures are very critical, very important. I mean, it could be an entire episode in itself when you can discuss how to finance projects, but we were very clear. हमने को ऐसा करना है. We want to de-risk ourselves. We don't want to go out there and think that we are, what do you call that? Those alpha males who can achieve anything.
Got it.
We are very, very aware of what our limitations are and we want to do development in that
We
phase.
decided no debt. Starting में acquisition debt लेंगे ही नहीं. Difficult call.
Yeah.
Shut source out those opportunities for you. Come what may, whatever is required to be done, we will do it, but we will not take that. And that's what today also we are there. So
If somebody has to start a real estate business and they are not taking debt, what are the other options which are laid out on the table?
You have to absolutely reduce the size of the project that you're doing.
Got it.
See, any real estate project per se of any like reasonably good size would require some sort of project financing, which is a construction finance. But construction finance typically is not a very large amount of money.
True.
It is linked to the progress of your project. So it's not like, oh, upfront I've taken a large amount of money and I've deployed it and I don't know what's going to happen. It comes step by step as you build and as when requires, more like a bridge finance kind of a situation. So construction finance is something that I think that there's no issue with as long as the project itself is managing that show.
Yeah.
My mentor, he told me, आपके पास 10 रुपया है, आप 10 रुपए का प्रोजेक्ट लो, एक
Okay.
50 रुपए की या 40 रुपए की सेल करोगे,
True.
जस्ट फॉर सेक ऑफ आर्गुमेंट.
Sure.
ओके, अभी आपने इसमें से 10 कमाया, तभी आपके पास 20 रुपया है. अब आप 20 की प्रोजेक्ट लोगे, आप 40 की प्रोजेक्ट नहीं लोगे. तो 20 रुपये डाल के 20 का प्रोजेक्ट हुआ, वापस 50 करोड़ का सेल करोगे, 40 के बदले 50 का किया आपने, वापस में से 15 कमाओगे. अभी आपके पास 35 है. ये यही तरीका है. अगर आपको बाहर से मतलब यू डोंट वांट टू लेवरेज योरसेल्फ, अगर आपको डेट नहीं लेना है, आपको इन्वेस्टर्स ये सब मतलब सबको इकट्ठा नहीं करना है, तो यही तरीका है. एक दूसरा तरीका भी है जो हम यूज कर रहे हैं और करेंगे फ्यूचर में, इज टू क्रिएट अ प्लेटफॉर्म which is basically like a platform of an organization which is like a development company basically, which is professional, driven by young, able-minded, clear intent, developing DNA with a very clear thought process, which is what we want to develop, which then will get equity from investors, whether it is domestic, ultra HNIs, institutions or whatever. And then you use that equity. Again, see, that's equity. It's not
like an AIF.
Like an AIF, but AIF again are lending money on interest.
Yeah.
I'm saying you become a project partner.
Got it.
But then this is at a global level, whether you're doing, say, a targeted, okay, I'm going to do redevelopments in this micro market. This is the size of projects we do. And this is the platform we've created.
Understood.
And we're going to get funding from that. I already have that kind of opportunities available for me today.
Gotcha.
People are interested to do this kind of work. So we're exploring that angle. But again, this whole taking no debt is a very, very, very important aspect of how we want to do business.
So this idea comes from that, and it's all about bandwidth, right? How much bandwidth you have. Like it's 2 of us. So we have that, say 2x bandwidth. If there were 4 of us, we would have 4x bandwidth.
Got it.
So it's how much bandwidth you have, how much on the treadmill do you want to run.
True.
It's on every individual, how much you want to grow and how fast you want to.
Of course.
And if you're open for equity or open for money not coming in the debt form, then you have to change your ecosystem. You need to be very flexible.
True.
You need to change your mindset. You need to be okay working with people coming on board.
Understood.
So the mindset change is very much required. Then it's a fantastic model to work.
Got it. So I had a personal question here. While I was starting up my business as a startup, I had recruited at the initial junction a very senior set of people who worked at large scale companies to come and help me. And I believe that was the biggest mistake that I did at the start of my career, where I went by those fancy names and I felt that would add a lot of value. But the whole culture they were coming from, the attitude that a company should have had, was totally missing. So I really lost around 6-8 months of my journey somewhere, not getting to the point where I wanted to, actually taking few steps back. They were not bad talents, but the certain talents operate in a certain ecosystem at a certain scale. They have their own USPs. Right? And then the scale changes. You got to become something different to make the best out of it. My question to you, when you are operating at a large organization in the roles that you guys had, did you feel at any point of time a certain conflict that a few things we read wrong as well? That, okay, hey, this is my contribution, but this is where people are not reading it enough. But when you start on your own, the whole ecosystem changes altogether. It's a proper scratch start. What are the things one has to be very careful of? How do you validate yourself in those parameters that the scale at which you are operating, a few engines are moving on their own. Now suddenly here, the ecosystem is a total different level.
Right.
So how do you prepare yourself for those scenarios which are not totally known to you? Did you face this kind of a problem at all? The operating at different scales had its different virtues or value chain?
Very much. I think we are facing it even now.
Okay.
Because an organization which is built over time, and it's like a running machine with a lot of parts and a lot of senior people already there in place, but they do things in a certain way.
Yes.
See, effectively, I would say it will be like a branded startup kind of a setup.
True.
Why branded? I'm saying because we have the legacy, track record and the equity.
True that.
It's like I've done this work for many, many years not as an employee of another company,
True.
but as a promoter myself. So I have done this work, but with a different kind of a board at my helm. Now I'm doing a different kind of work. So one mindset change is obviously the fact that a lot of the work you have to do yourself.
Understood.
You'll have to have guys who help you And I agree with you, Govind, when you said that, you had a time where you hired senior people. Me and Maulik are constantly debating that.
Yeah.
Whether in what position should we hire senior, very senior guys?
Yeah.
Can we afford them today? I mean, I obviously can afford them, but like, should I get them on board? Should I spend that kind of money just to get those guys on board? And how will they help me grow? Will their salaries be justified to the quantum of work or the level of responsibility? And it's an ongoing thing. And I think it's something that will have 2-3 cycles before it sort of matures.
Got it.
But I think at the end of the day, you still need senior people around you, your core team, because they are your guiding force, they are your soundboard, and they probably help you course correct. Because you know a lot of the stuff yourself. They probably help you realize it. Everybody knows कि मैं कुछ चीज़ कर रहा हूँ, सही है, गलत है. एकदम ग्रे में, white में, black में मुझे पता नहीं है.
Yeah.
वो अंदर रहता है. To bring it out, you need the right crowd around it.
Like you said, large organization, many engines, some are working fantastic. There are a lot of inefficiencies, right? Some are not doing as much. But in a larger organization, those inefficiencies are not punished because it gets taken care of, it gets covered off. When you're starting small, inefficiencies will get punished. So you have to be very careful on how you're building out the team, what kind of talent you're getting, and what kind of output you get from the talent. Because if you are inefficient, then you will get punished very badly because you don't have that skill. Yeah. And second, this is what I believe in, is that there are two approaches to building a team. Either you're from top to bottom or from bottom up. I believe in bottom up, that if you're building a team from ground, which takes more time, but you get your systems, your ethos,
your foundation right.
Yeah, you get your foundation right, then you build it up. And then if you get the right person to lead and you hand over,
of course,
then they do very well. But if you're expecting someone at an early stage to come in and to build out a team as you would, and to give that output, most of the time it doesn't work out because they need to have the same vision as you, which is very difficult to find.
Without a doubt. Super, yeah. So, this brings me to the next question on Sheth Realty again. The day one we discussed that, okay, how it actually transpired. But then one thing is very clear that, when you would have started, or somewhere, we've had those discussions too in the past. Sheth Realty ko kuch alag banana hai yaar, right? That conversation you differently had. Could you lay out for the audience there are 2 or 3 things which are very fundamentally clear that, eventually when people will look at us, they are going to resonate with certain emotions or certain words in their mind when they look at us in the future. What are 2-3 differentiator factors that you kept in mind that we will, over a bit of time, keep imbibing so that the final projection of us is going to be in a different way, in a certain way, where we are perceived different? What would be those 2 or 3 attributes?
In terms of differentiation, I think the number one point that comes across, I think both of us were very clear, is that the product has to be the primary focus.
Sure.
We will do marketing, we will do sales, we will do all the work. And I meant product not in the way that design aesthetic, मेरे को specific design architecture चाहिए जिससे मेरा product की identity अलग लगे दूसरे से, या there is a similarity between all my projects. All those are more to do with, brand and marketing. But I meant from product at the core is the functional, because the livability factor, because we are into residential primarily, the livability factor of any development is a primary concern for us, and I think that will set Sheth Realty apart over time, because as the products start getting delivered, you realize it.
Yeah.
And just to give an example, I have 2 projects on the floor right now, and in both the projects, we are actually under consuming the potential FSI that is available, and both of the cases deliberately, where we actually have the option and the ability to probably develop more area, build more floors or add more wings or whatever you want to call it, whatever way it is there. But we have sacrificed for a better layout, more livability for the end customer, and overall for better satisfaction for us. That we are making a product that is actually good.
Got it.
I am convinced कि अच्छा है. So that is, I think, one very, very critical aspect. I think me and Maulik both are very clear. This is one thing, this is the bedrock, that product, when product comes, it's a concrete wall. There's no discussion. He has no say, I have no say. Both, once it is decided that this is what we have to achieve, product mein koi compromise nahi. I think that is, a bedrock of our establishment.
और वो aesthetics नहीं है. It's not कौन सी tile की क्या marble डाला आपने क्या किया. नहीं, वो concept stage पे आता है.
हाँ, it's an ethos.
Could you elaborate on the numbers that, how much amount of top line you let go to actually...
I'll give you an example. Say in my Cyan project, I have a potential of to use up to 4 FSI. If you understand, 4 times the land and all that. And we have used just under 3. So we've let go about 20,000 or 30,000 square feet
And that could have been how much money in that
100 crore top line.
that you let it pass?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because if we had to build that would compromise the product. Your density will change, your layout will change.
In the second project I acquired, it's a 2-acre land parcel, redevelopment. When I went on stage and for the final presentation and in front of that group, I told them, boss, there's a competitor who's offering you more percentage area, but he's also doing it in a larger FSI, total FSI of the project. So it's going to be 1.5 times more FSI. They were okay with him. But I got the job with a lesser FSI consumption and a lesser offer to the actual end users, because I give them simple promise that the product that will come out, your kids will thank you, that aapko isme acha hua that you chose this route, because they're going to be happy living in it. And here also the same thing. We are doing 2.4 plus fungible or whatever you call it, about 3.2. But actually scope was more than 4, because like they had taken bids in any open, kitna bhi FSI load karke aap building bana sakte ho. To bhi lowest ko mila for this reason. So
here, how much top line that you will let pass in a way?
I don't know. Here तो I do not calculate it, but काफी है. इसमें तो 8,000. It's 8,000. Operational problem. 8,000 square meter plot. So you assume 80,000 into 1.5, so about 1 lakh square feet more.
Oh my
we
God.
could have built that.
We could have. So let me just elaborate on that. It's 2 acres, 8,000 square meter, 2 towers only.
Got it.
None of my apartments will face other apartment.
Got it.
Very few people can claim this market at all. At all.
Yeah.
No mechanized car parking.
Yeah.
I'm giving you surface and covered car parking throughout. I'm giving you 26 feet height lobbies.
Yeah.
Now, when I do this FSI, when I increase it, this 2 towers will become 3. Or I go, say, if it's 30 story now, 32, it'll go up to 45.
Yeah.
So my delivery timelines extend by 1 year more.
Got it.
Then my number of podiums, my parking requirement goes high. Then we put car parking towers, we put mechanized, we do all of that.
Sure.
So then the product gets compromised.
Got it.
That's where our experience of 12 years comes in designing it.
Nicely laid out, yeah. Absolutely. Good. So you are also laying out some more pointers apart from the 2-3 pointers that you're laying out.
So one was this, was the focus on the product.
Yeah.
And by product, I meant the livability and the end use of the product. Number 2, I think is a differentiating factor would be technology adoption.
Sure.
And forward-thinking technology adoption. Not just, I'm not talking about the plain vanilla or hygiene items that are today like digital marketing and the CRM and ERP and all that is now standard. But technology adoption at a level where technology is helping us drive decision making. And this is in the works. It's obviously a work in progress. And as my organization matures, over the time, you'll see the differentiation. Because at early stages, you don't see the differentiation. It's the hard work you put in today. And slowly over time, as we scale up, we'll start seeing the differentiation in terms of how we operate and look at our business.
Super.
Thanks to technology.
Lovely.
And the last would be that we are very much focused on the redevelopment wave that is in Mumbai. If we talk about Mumbai specific,
Sure.
That we feel that the next 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years are definitely redevelopment focused, a business that's going to happen in Mumbai. Mumbai has a tremendous opportunity. The kind of infrastructure development or the investment that has happened in Mumbai in the last 5-6 years, and this I've said at many platforms, is outstanding. Well, they've done 30 years of investment in 7 years, 6 years. That's kuch hua hai. The number is some $32 billion. And that's outstanding, right? And we are in the flux. We are in the cocoon. Okay, the butterfly, from the larva, the butterfly is being built. I mean, if you have a vision, you can see it. That you can see the butterfly that is going to come out. But aaj se 5 saal, 6 saal ke baad, when all this stuff is laid out and all stuff is moving freely, you'll see that there'll be a new Mumbai. And that new Mumbai is going to demand a different kind of way of looking at everything.
Right. That's why you see all national players are so interested in coming into Mumbai.
Of course, without a doubt.
And
of course. Now that you are talking about Mumbai, let me ask you one very interesting phenomenon. Everybody I meet in developer fraternity who are there in Mumbai or in other cities, they have a different reading of how Mumbai is going to shape up or how the customer behavior is going to shift. A few people are saying, hey, the new Panvel airport is going to be live. We are seeing Mumbai 3.0. That could mean that area is going to get developed. The price rises here into Mumbai 1.0 is somewhere going to stabilize, and most of the rub-off is going to come to Mumbai 3.0 because of the infrastructure development. And the debate that goes on that the better the infrastructure, the more stabilized the prices are. Looking at as a crystal ball, if you have to look at and predict that, what are the trends as a developer that you are seeing, which you're bullish upon. Maybe you're taking some bets, maybe it's just part of a reading. What can we expect out of Mumbai in terms of the prices, in terms of the customer absorption behavior? Because one thing is also happening in parallel. Mumbai so far in India was about a place where you could just come and you will somewhere or other will get a job. And that's the kind of a migration that we saw at one point of time. But now, Pune, Hyderabad and Bangalore, or even NCR market, are doing equally amazingly well when we look at the data, right? So how are these metrics going to play out over a period of time in Mumbai as a landscape? Have you guys internally discussing the business plans, discuss this part, that where the customers are going to be, what are they going to look at, where should we be really present? Redevelopment, understood. But those are happening into the areas which are really core areas, the prime areas. What about the transitional growth areas, right, which are coming in or something what we call as ILD, which is infrastructure-led developments, those locations? Are we going to see you guys there? Are there any trends that you guys are operating with, reading and accordingly working towards a plan? Or the current 5-year plan is largely focusing upon the core areas? How do you define the Mumbai trend and your adoption according to it?
How we are positioning ourselves with terms of where Mumbai is going, I think the wave that came in 2021, and it's pretty much gone on for a while, hardly a wave anymore, but it's been almost a phenomena, has taken everybody by surprise initially.
Sure.
Nobody expected this kind of wave to come. And even before we started, we discussed the Gurgaon and how you said, you know what, it's justified because there is no value to your convenience and your comfort.
True.
And I think that human element is not going to go away. Mumbai 1.0 will remain 1.0 because 1.0 has happened over 150 years. Just by developing a few infrastructure, you're not going to pull the juice out of it. But yes, Mumbai mein abhi bhi influx hai.
Yeah.
Thane, MMR, the entire belt, there is a lot of potential and the customer base is massive.
Of course.
And every few 10, 15 years, the same customer base is again available.
True.
Because they upgrade, they make money, they grow their families, and then again they are going out. So there is never a question of demand. True. I never think Mumbai is ever going to have a question of demand for. I don't think. Like, it's all about you addressing the right market.
True.
And to address specifically your question about what we are focusing on, yes, we are focusing primarily on explored and safer bets right now.
True.
Like, bets we feel that there is a value pocket available here. आज pricing कम है, मेरी entry सस्ती है, पर ये मैं मतलब with the right product and all, I can elevate it, which is what we've done in our Sion project.
Got it.
It's on that side of the Mitti River, and the location is an upcoming location.
Sure.
So when I entered in 2021, 22, when I first came and saw the project, I thought this had a lot of potential to become a very great location at par with Bandra and BKC and that zone. And the connectivity is very good. So again, it's ILD only because the connectivity you have this.
Sure.
So wherever we find these kind of pockets, we are looking at it and we are evaluating. And if we feel that the value proposition is right, we are making a play.
Got it.
Apart from that, on the outskirts, we are always bullish about the lower base, the lower middle class.
True that.
Dombivli, the KDMC belt is where we are very actively looking.
Wow.
And we are probably going to come in the next year launching a large project in that side also.
Super.
So we are doing both aspects. Panvel also is something that I'm actively considering. See, all of these locations, like I said, if I find the right value proposition, I feel my customer base will enjoy it.
Yeah.
We have a very deliberately sort of situated ourselves in the upwardly mobile segment. We've never been in hyper luxury in the last, I'm saying 8-10 years. And we're not a mass market brand also.
True.
So we've kept ourselves in that middle and we know how to address that middle very well.
Of course.
That one which is well traveled, which is having the disposable income, and at the same time they are always looking to grow and to add. So we are trying to address that segment of the populace.
Just to add on to what he said, Bombay has become more captive market now. If you see hardcore sale numbers, we are not pitching to even say first time buyers who are say migrating or somewhere else.
Yeah.
They have been living in Bombay for quite some time.
True.
Maybe they are on rent or they're with their parents or whatever. And even the second time buyers are who are upgrading.
Yeah.
So someone living in MMR wants to upgrade, say, closest to Mumbai, say Thane. Someone in Thane wants to go to Mulund or somewhere close. Somewhere there wants to upgrade more towards the city side.
Of course.
So captive market is there.
True.
And that captive market is what driving everything. But like you said, ILD, infrastructure-led development will happen. Like just see what has happened in the last 10 years or say 15 years. It was a RCF, the whole industry space was there. There was no social infra, there was nothing. And now you see you got the top 5 developers delivering, launching and doing so well in that market.
True. Price
opportunity is there. You see that's why sales traction also happening in these unexplored areas. Like true. Another reason what the coastal road, if it gets finished beyond Warsaw and ahead, all those pockets will also open up because that brings you connectivity to your workplace.
Of course.
A workplace commute has become a very big decision maker now for people to buy their future homes.
Yes.
Workplace commute and immediate social infra are the two key aspects we look at when we are deciding on acquiring something, because this is the decision maker for them.
Got it.
Abhi location to of course rahega, like you said, the A grade locations always remain. But after the A grade locations, this is how the things will flow. And because infra story going around everywhere and Bombay getting connected top to bottom and left to right, this lateral thing which you see, say the northern suburbs will be the less and south, Bombay will be most expensive. We saw real estate flow like that throughout.
Got it.
That will go away. So you say something selling in Sion, a price point, someone selling Borivali the same price point.
Got it.
So the lateralness of the city is gone.
Got
So
it.
that's how it will grow. But I feel captive market is enough for us to sustain. The demand is there. People want to upgrade to better living, larger homes, more community living. So if your product's offering that, you will always get a demand for it.
Understood. So I'm going to ask you a very small question. You said Dombivli, and you also said that, you're not looking at acquiring larger project. But while explaining Dombivli, you had a narrative where you said it's a larger layout that you guys are looking at. Isn't it an antithesis of what you guys are initially thinking through and what is getting available? How do you solve this kind of a scenario? So I've seen this as a thesis. We make a business model, but then there are a few things, opportunities so good that you can't let go of it. So how are you balancing the scales there?
So I'll tell you. Number one, we are not making very tall buildings. It's all 25, 30 story buildings.
Understood.
Number two, the investment from our side in terms of project, the kind of capex that we're going to put in or equity is very limited. Because the price point and the kind of revenues, volumes that you're going to do in Dombivli don't compare to Mumbai.
True that.
I'll make 5 buildings, in Mumbai I'll have to make 1 to achieve the same. So overall, as a project size, it's very large. It has almost 2,000 apartments. But in terms of revenue, it's a mid-sized Mumbai project, which actually fits into my mathematics very easily.
Got your point.
So the risk profile is very different in that market compared to the risk profile here.
Again, the model is simple. There is no debt. There is no leveraging of anything else. We're not putting money blindly in land or, as they say in Kache mein, we're not putting money. It's all ready, cooked, cleaned out properly with all approvals, and we are going to put money and then start a project. So very clear idea of what our strengths are and then how to capitalize on those strengths.
Super. So now when you're talking about strength, let me come to a very important question. What are your core strengths? As brothers, it's different. So one, how do you solve conflicts if it ever arises? Have you guys laid out the conflict resolution plans internally on small decisions? And second, how you guys have divided the workload internally to grow this business into a larger one?
Primarily, I'm the more day-to-day guy and he is the long-term picture guy.
Got it.
Business development, long-term vision, financing, planning, that's all done by Chintan.
Super.
100% operations taken care of by me. So majority of the team also reports to me. So construction, sales, execution, marketing to a certain aspect.
Sure.
It's completely driven by me. The larger picture is what he looks at, planning 6 months ahead, looking at proposals, working on them, liaising. All the largest aspects of the business are done by him. On conflict resolution, we don't have a formula per se. We would love to have one in place. But one thing I have noticed and which I feel is working is you inform each other of everything which is happening.
Got it.
Regardless of how small or big it is, how insignificant you feel it is. आज ये हो गया, अच्छा आज ऐसा किया, अरे ये हुआ, अरे 5 फ्लैट बिके, बिके नहीं बिके, कौन से भाव के बिके, वो secondary है. But inform each other of everything. अरे आज ये हुआ, he'll inform you what's happening on his side. I'll inform him of what's happening on my side. So that conversation happens every single day. There's always constant exchange of information. Nothing's ever hidden on what's happening. If I'm going meeting investor or meeting some retail channel partner, or if I'm meeting XYZ, whoever in the market, I immediately have the conversation where I update him, because this is what has happened, this is what is we discussing, and then we have a 2-minute discussion on it, and then we reach to a conclusion. Same thing happens with him. Before I take any decision or before taking anything forward, there's a discussion which will happen, and that discussion might happen 1, 2, 3, 4 times before we decide which way to go. That makes sure that there are very less opportunities of conflict to actually arise.
Is there anything he's missed?
I don't think he's missed anything. That is a simple way we have. We haven't laid out a plan like you have, which you confided in me, but it's a good point. I mean, it's an inspiration for me to now think about putting it down on paper in some manner. As the business will grow and we'll go from a startup model, gear 1 to 2, 3, 4,
sure,
the time we'll get to spend with each other will go down dramatically. And we're both aware of it. So that is something that we're going to built out, like a board setup, but not a board, an official board. Apart from that, I think the primary ethos and understanding and vision is so clear. No, sure. So once you have that sorted out, I think everything else falls in place. Yeah. See, there'll be tough times. You have to deal with it.
Absolutely.
Right. We very well know what each one is supposed to do, right? What he's supposed to do, he knows, I know what I'm supposed to do. Before the project comes on floor, he has tremendous amount of work, like tremendous. After the project comes on floor, he has to take a backseat, he's relaxing and take a vacation also, which should be okay. So this understanding has to be there, then the conflict doesn't arise.
Of course.
Right. Things many times get resolved on their own without you having to poke at it too much. When you have to poke, you poke.
No, without a doubt. Though we will do a discussion on the founders agreement and all those, right? It's good for the new age businesses and the world that we are getting into, which offers so much, right? There's so many options that we have to choose from, and that's where I believe these things do add efficiencies too. So now I'm going to ask you, Malik. I could see based on our conversation that your passion and excitement largely is somewhere there on the construction side of the business as well. I wanted to ask, like, when you guys said at the start, speed. One of the counter questions that comes along with it, you build with speed, quality can take a hit.
Right.
How in your position are really making sure in day to day that, the speed is not getting compromised, because that's important. Like, you cannot just focus on quality and forget about the speed, because then automatically the money is getting suffered, automatically it's back to the quality.
Right.
For those who do not understand, that's the basic loop that you are in. How are you going about your day to day, where you're really making sure that the team that you're operating with or the contractors that you're operating with, they are not taking any time the quality as a criteria which they can take for granted. At the same time, he is driving the top line or the vision part from a certain speed. How are you balancing his vision as well? Because this is important responsibility.
Absolutely.
What's for us to learn? And second, what do you believe is this as a skill set that you have as a different than that anybody else is looking at this part of the journey? Is there anything that you'd love to share?
Yeah, so quality, when you talk about quality, this is something which has come from our legacy. The ethos. The ingrained ethos, we will not compromise, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of time, money, or certain standard or benchmark, depending on the project, we will not compromise.
Got it.
That is ingrained from me, from him, and that has come from the legacy, from our family business, that we do not. And if you see all our projects, they are landmark, and there's no question regarding quality. And that's the objective here, कि customer के mind में product के related कोई question नहीं होना चाहिए. Price पे हो सकता है, बाकी सब चीज़ पे हो सकता है. Product के लिए question नहीं होना चाहिए. And that's what we strive for throughout. So that ethos is there. Now, how you translate that into day-to-day working, that's the difficult part. I would say that construction is a mundane, day-to-day, in and out, difficult job. It takes 3 to 5 years to make any good size development, which stands for next 50 years. My product shelf life is very high.
True.
So it's a very serious job. You need to like doing it. It's a day in, day out, same job which you're repeating throughout for, say, from days, weeks, 2 months, 2 years to deliver the product. And that supervision or that commitment to quality has to start from day one. It cannot happen suddenly. You have started some work and then you suddenly realize, no, this is what I want to know. It has to start from day one, and it has to be there every day in every activity which you do.
True that.
This is where the difficult part comes in. This is how you have to form your teams, your processes, your system, and the overall ethos of the organization or the execution team. This is हम ऐसा काम करेंगे. हम ऐसा काम ही करेंगे, बाकी substandard काम हम accept ही नहीं करेंगे. So once you start doing that, then your external vendors, your subcontractors also understand that this is the kind of work you will do.
Sure.
And those are the people who will work with you, the rest won't.
Got it.
And it's a long journey. It's a difficult one.
Got it.
It takes a lot of time on ground. It does not happen sitting in the office doing it on the computer and sending emails and putting systems in place or putting tech products in place. It doesn't happen. It happens because it's a man-driven job and you have to be on ground and you have to stand and get it done through the sun and the rain. And every small thing which you do in a building, right? Every RCC column which you cast or the waterproofing you do or the bricks which you put will decide how that person is going to live in the house for the next 15, 20 years.
Understood.
So it's such a serious thing and it requires a different level of commitment. You need to have that skill set. You need to enjoy it and you need to be passionate about, this is what I am proud of it. Then you can definitely do it. There's no question about it.
Super. Anything you would love to add to the journey?
I'll tell you what. So initially, both of us did projects in silos.
Okay.
Like, early days. But I worked on one project end to end.
Okay.
From construction, execution, sales, marketing, finance, and he did his different projects. And like over time, we realized what our strengths are and what our strengths are not. So my strengths are obviously not on the execution side, because in everyday requirement of doing the same work, pushing those guys day in, day out, did not really align with my personality.
Got it.
Like he said earlier, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and that comes out a little more aggressively on the people below me.
Got
if
it.
things don't go my way. And construction, there are like 350 odd products that we use and some 100 odd vendors over the life cycle. Things are going to go wrong.
Got it.
So that's more suited to his personality, I feel also.
Got it.
You have to institutionalize quality as a thought process.
Sure.
Only then it comes out. And I think all of the guys who've done well in the past, including our parent company or the group company, was that because at one point in time, my uncle took this mantle. And for a long time, he pushed this. And he made a team of people under him who became mad like him about the quality aspect. Obviously, speed is very important. Speed के साथ quality. मतलब quality तो लाना ही है.
Of course.
और speed में लाना है. So quality was a given. उसके बाद then the only conversation remains के progress. Because without quality वाला progress तो anyways is not acceptable. It's not progress.
Of course.
So that's how he did it. And like he said, we've learned it from scratch. And that's part of our ethos. And that's something that's very core to us.
Sometimes it affects your balance sheet. Now our learnings, we know where the pitfalls are, so you can manage.
But one thing is proven that, those people who are focused on quality are the one who survive for the longest time.
But tell me, this as a formula, and most places where you're actually building products is very, how do I put it? Like the basic formula, yeah.
True.
First, you decide what product you're trying to build.
Yeah.
If I'm making a uber luxury product, I know what kind of quality aspects or parameters I'm going to look at. If I'm looking at mid-market or affordable, my quality aspects and parameters change.
True.
But it's not like it's bad quality. It's just that the material that we use, the kind of finishing that we give are of a different type. So it's not like every project we are going to make a 5-star hotel. But in that space, we will make the best product.
Got it. One question on the vision side, 2035, if we have to lay out the top 20, 30 and top 10 developer list in India, where you're sure you're going to be featured?
In 10 years from now?
Yeah. 30, 20, 10. I expect you top 30, you're going to be there, that I know of.
No, they're top 10 easily.
Done. That's okay.
For sure. In 10 years, top 10. See, again, at that 10, for me is not, what is the yearly revenue you're booking or sales you're doing or whatever, or how much construction you're throwing out, but in terms of preference. I want to be in the top 10 most preferred developers of the city. If I enter micro market and 10 others enter, तो मेरा ranking उसमें top 10 में होना ही चाहिए.
Got it.
That is without doubt the vision.
Got it. And do you see that in the future? Currently, the wave is totally on. As we spoke, that the other city players are trying to enter in Bombay. One of the important conversations that I was having with a set of developers was that Bombay, number of players who have done more than 5,000 crore and above, taking Godrej away, let's say. So there's only one developer in form of Lodha, which comes out. Bangalore has got already Puravankara, Brigade, Prestige, Embassy. There are more than 4-5 brands which are coming out of Bangalore.
Oh, wow.
But Bombay somewhere has not seen that emergence so far. I'm always trying to understand what is the logic when the business here is the largest one. Maybe it is more divided. But based on the customer preferences, one thing I can definitely predict that by 2035, there will be a lot more attention to the pan-India brands impact player as well, right? Not just a city as a play, that, there will be city level top 10, but there will be pan-India level top 10. The customer will sit at 20 option, right? How do you see the future turning out to be? And do you really believe that the city level impact would be enough, or the vision would be to drive something of a scale which is really absorbed by the pan-India audiences, because there will be consolidation coming in? For you guys to enter the 6th, 7th year, you may realize that the other opportunity areas are coming beyond Bombay as well. That could be an emergence as well. India hosts the Olympics in 2036, if in case. A lot of narrative will shift to Gujarat as well. A lot of developers will be needed as well, because there will be that kind of construction requirement that will be coming in, and then whatever the city can absorb after it. So how do you read this trend around the consolidation? How do you see this trend around moving past Bombay as Sheth Realty as well? These are the two things I wanted to understand.
As a larger group, we have ventured outside Mumbai.
Sure.
We started with Pune, obviously in the start. We came to Mumbai, then we ventured to Dubai in the mid-2000s and did a couple of projects there. In fact, we acquired a couple of more, but then the whole Lehman crash and all sort of set us back a little bit in Dubai. After that, we haven't ventured outside of Mumbai much. And right now, in the 5-year horizon, I don't have a plan to go outside Mumbai.
Got it.
Because I have a lot of work here to do.
Of course.
And there are a lot of places where you can do work in Mumbai. Like there's a lot of value propositions still available.
True that.
And if you are able to create a mark for yourself in terms of your quality, in terms of your product, in terms of your delivery, which Maulik said that the speed is very critical. If you are that player, I don't think you're supposed to be worried about what the numbers stack up. I mean, I do think, yes, there will be consolidation, which is ongoing since last few years, and it will go on because real estate, especially Mumbai real estate, is a balance sheet play at the end of the day.
True that.
And the larger work, the big chunk might go to the largest developers.
True.
And if God wills it, and if we have that kind of run in the next few years, and if we are in that bracket, we will look at that segment.
True that.
But otherwise, I don't think that if you are making an impact in your city, if you make an impact in a micro market, you could own a suburb. Say you decide that these 3 suburbs of Mumbai are mine. I am going to build here only, and I'm going to build in a way that is going to leave a mark on those 3 suburbs. I know developers who've done that. And pan Mumbai developers like us would be like, how can you just work in one suburb? That's so limiting. But you see, after 25 years, he's made a mark for himself in that segment. And then no matter who's against him, he still stands his ground.
True.
There are so many examples of that in Mumbai itself. So I don't think real estate development as a whole is actually a volume share business.
Without a doubt.
So once you stop thinking of it as a volume share business, कि यार ये 1000 crore कर रहा है तो मैं नहीं करूँगा तो मेरे शेयर में से जा रहा है, आपके शेयर में से नहीं जा रहा है, आप अपनी ऑडियंस बनाओ. आपकी ऑडियंस क्या है? ये आपकी ऑडियंस है, उसको समझ लो, आपके प्रोडक्ट को समझ लो, आपके ethos, आपके DNA को ठीक से समझो, and then you're through. You don't need to worry
Very well
about it.
said. Done.
If you're seeing the city as the whole,
Yeah.
it's just hundreds of different micro markets, and all of these micro markets function very differently.
Trust me, it's just maddening whenever that we are doing our campaign settings. The learnings are really, really different from one market to the other.
Dubai, small city,
Yeah.
total volume of sales was more than the market of India.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous, right? The kind of opportunity that is there in India. I don't think you need to be worried about opportunities at any scale.
Absolutely, yes. So now this brings me to the last section of this engagement. And this is rapid fire. So brace yourself up. You have to be really, really quick to answer. I'm going to point you guys and you guys have to answer. Your favorite real estate developers apart from the family that you come from.
In Mumbai or India?
India.
Prestige.
DLF.
Your favorite architect.
Overall?
Yeah.
PNT.
For me, Norman Foster.
Okay. Your favorite building in Mumbai that you see and you always wish that I could have made it or my name was there or maybe one day I'll make a building like this.
Which is that Nishika Terraces, that Wally Seaface building.
That's Avigna only, right?
Avignawala.
Yeah.
Well, in that belt, there's another, that Chandelier Terraces also.
The
is
whole
there.
series is Zarzi Salat.
So, वहाँ पे I feel there is, it's just one way it's being built. There is scope for making something
More beautiful.
I would love to do what Lodha is doing in Juhu right now.
Okay.
I would love to do that project. Love it.
Got it. And if in case you were to step out of Mumbai and be a developer, which city would you choose?
Dubai.
Okay. He directly went outside India very fast. What about you? If in India you had to choose one, since he took Dubai,
maybe Delhi. Maybe like the Gurgaon belt, Gurgaon NCR.
okay. And if in case you had 1 crore rupees as a customer to invest into a residential property, I'm going to take location's name, right? As a customer, you have to make this buying decision of investing that 1 crore for end use. But the knowledge that you have as a developer,
Right.
you're not naive. You already know the market. Where would you put that 1 crore between Borivali and Kandivali?
Borivali.
Between Thane and Kalyan?
Thane.
Between Thane and Navi Mumbai?
Navi Mumbai.
And 1 crore you carry now, you go to Thane since you chose it, you are a customer. 1 crore for a branded developer who's offering a 600 square feet home and vis-a-vis a non-branded who's offering a 700 square feet home. Where would you put that 1 crore?
You've really like dumbed it down, but because there are other aspects also, what kind of development it is.
Okay.
But I would obviously go for a branded developer.
Okay.
600 square feet.
I would say size of development overall. Whether 600 is in a single building or it's a layout.
Let's go with this only. 1 crore home of 600 carpet in a single story building vis-a-vis dense mixed-use development building which has got multiple stories, multiple buildings into it. Where should I put my money?
In the mixed use development.
In the mixed-use development?
Yeah.
Same for you?
Same, yeah.
Why?
Your overall lifestyle and experience will be much better.
Wouldn't the density be too higher?
It'll be high.
Wouldn't that be a intrusive part? Since I have 1 crore and there would be more than 2,000, 1,000 people living with me.
It's
There are too many parameters. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
it's great for rapid fire, but the home is such a personal choice here.
Of
So
course.
if you ask me investment point of view, where you think the better market is going to be,
Well, let's get there then.
that's a better answer for me to give. Just to give an example, I live in a single story building,
Sure.
which I'm very happy with.
Yeah.
He lives in a complex, which is also very happy with.
God.
So
It's very personal.
In COVID,
Honest.
it's just a thing out there. We had the best time in COVID.
you don't want COVID to come back again, not to have best time.
No, I get it. So 1 crore in Thane for investment use case now we're discussing. This is ROI timeline that I have for 15 years. Where should I put the money in Thane? Residential or commercial?
Thane, you have commercial opportunities for that type?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Wagle, we have choosing.
But that's IT.
It's IT.
That's IT.
But I would still put in commercial.
Okay. What about you?
In Thane, commercial.
And if in case, let's stick with Thane only for a while. 1 crore in a commercial opportunity of a developer that you know that has a good history who would deliver versus strata sales where 10 lakh rupees each in 10 different spaces, a company is putting it for a larger yield perspective and they manage your fund for that 1 crore rupees for you. As an investor, what would you really suggest?
I would say outright. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming the exit will be simple and outright.
Of course.
I think there are two sides of the coin. With the strata sale, obviously you're diversifying, probably reducing your risks.
Yeah.
But the rewards will be definitely better in your outright deal with a single developer.
Sure.
Obviously a developer who's got a good track record and who's not like
Yeah, we are
Catsy.
We are checking off all the
As in comparable.
Got it.
Comparable properties.
Got it. And my last question, if in case you were not a developer, what else should have been into your whole professional career? This was time you guys have really not thought through anything about real estate or what.
I would be designing cars or making cars or something
I was
like that.
waiting for him to answer actually.
And what about you?
I would be something in technology. Running a tech company or solving some problem.
Okay, anything in technology over a period of time that would have come to place.
Although AI and machine learning was my subject of choice when I was studying.
Super. So with that, thanks a ton for being with us. Thanks a ton for the learnings that you guys gave. I see the banter that you guys are on to. And as I said, in the middle of the podcast, the 2040, there's a vision that you guys have laid out. We hopefully will revisit it together and we'll see how much of it is already tick marked. And wishing you super luck. It was an exciting session for me to learn from you guys. Knowing you, a lot of conversation that we've done off the cameras before as well. But of course, there's a great amount of insight that I have had today learning from you guys. And for all the audience who's watching it, make sure if any question that you guys are putting into the comment section, we will take it to them and revert back individual to each of your comments. So please, I hope that you enjoyed the podcast just the way I did. Thanks a ton, both of you guys.
Thank you so much.
See you in the next episode.